The Art of Agony. They say a true critic is merely an artist who failed, a comforting lie invented by the mediocre to soothe their fragile egos. In reality, a great critic is a surgeon. The art world is constantly suffocating under the tumors of substandard, talentless trash, and someone has to hold the scalpel. For over 20 years, my name was a death sentence in the elite galleries of Paris, London, and New York. I had the power to make a young painter a millionaire with a single nod, or reduce their entire existence to ash with a single sentence. I broke their spirits with an aristocratic smile, watching their eyes empty of hope as I delivered my favorite verdict. This is a French gallery, my dear, but instead of quality, I see only a drop of effort and an ocean of mediocrity. Burn it. I destroyed them for fun. I shattered their destinies as casually as I broke dry celery stalks on the marble island of my kitchen. I genuinely believed I was cleansing the world, making room for true perfection. And for my own home, I sought the ultimate masterpiece. I found it at a private, invitation-only auction in Amsterdam. It was an anonymous, untitled oil canvas from the mid-18th century. The auctioneer whispered that the painter had lost his mind the exact moment his brush finished the final stroke. The painting depicted a massive, dimly lit masquerade ball. Dozens of aristocrats in heavy, dark velvet garments were frozen in unnatural, twisted postures. But it was their faces that paralyzed me. The texture of the dark oil was applied with such terrifying, psychotic precision that through the thick layers of paint, you could clearly feel the raw, primeval human agony. Stupor, panic, cold sweat. It was all breathing directly from the canvas. Standing in front of it, I felt a sickly, icy chill creep down my spine. I bought it without a second thought. I brought it to my massive, hollow mansion and hung it in the very center of the grand living room. That was the night I forgot the oldest rule of the universe. Art knows how to bleed, and art knows how to hunt. The first symptoms appeared a week later. I attributed them to standard professional burnout. My eyes were always strained, after all. I was sitting in a trendy gallery, reviewing the exhibition of yet another worthless amateur. I glanced at his painting. A simple gray city street, uttered my devastating review, and turned my eyes away to look at the blank white wall. But the city street didn't disappear. It remained burned onto my retinas, a glowing, ghostly afterimage. Wherever I looked, the outlines of that cheap painting superimposed themselves over the faces of people and the expensive furniture of the gallery. The effect lasted for 10 agonizing minutes before melting away into a sharp, blinding migraine. Fatigue, I told myself. Just fatigue. But the next day, the paintings began to blink. Whenever I found myself alone in my living room, the figures on the Amsterdam canvas seemed to shift. The moment I blinked, a painted hand would appear slightly higher. Another blink and a cracked, shadowed head was turned further in my direction. The shadows on the velvet dresses became deeper, almost fluid, and the smell. The air in my mansion began to reek of wet, suffocating oil paint and dried iron. Then, my cruelty caught up with me. The local art community, driven to madness by my relentless sabotage, began to protest. They didn't use signs. They brought their most hideous, raw, disturbing paintings to the gates of my estate. Pictures filled with chaotic rage, screaming colors, and desperate agony. Once I would have laughed. Now I couldn't, because every single canvas I looked at for more than 3 seconds became a physical cage. My mind was violently dragged inside the paint. To an outside observer, I was just staring blankly at a picture for 2 seconds. But inside my head, I was spending 16 hours running through dark, sticky, two-dimensional corridors, breathing the heavy stench of oil, while faceless painted monsters hunted me down. My shoes felt permanently glued to the thick, wet brushstrokes of the floor. My psyche shattered into pieces, driven by pure, unadulterated panic and a suddenly awakened, screaming conscience. I did the unthinkable. I officially ended my career. I fell to my knees and begged for forgiveness from every young artist whose life I had turned to ash. I expected rage, but the human heart can be surprisingly merciful. They looked at my pale, trembling frame, and they forgave me. But the canvas did not. In a desperate, frantic attempt to balance my soul, I spent millions buying up every single worthless painting made by the people I had hurt. I dragged them into my mansion and covered every single frame with heavy, thick black velvet cloths, so I would never have to look into their painted eyes again. Silence finally returned. For 3 days I thought the nightmare was over, until the curse reached its final foe.